Well, you guys, lots of normal stuff is happening today. The head of NATO called Donald Trump daddy. Trump said he deserves a Nobel Peace Prize for bombing Iran. And Bernie Sanders talked to Joe Rogan about why it's bad to fall in love with AI chatbots. For more on this, it's time for a closer look. You guys, Donald Trump really, really wants a Nobel Peace Prize, which is obviously insane. I think at best we could trick him by telling the committee has decided to give him a little Nobel as a treat, and we'll call it a baby bell, and it's just a piece of cheese and it's on a lanyard. They tell me there's delicious cheese in here, but sadly there's no way to get through the red outer coating. We hate the red wax. If you ask me, no president should get a Nobel Peace Prize. I don't think Obama should have gotten one either, especially at the beginning of his term. I mean, that's just kind of jinxing it. You don't give out the World Series trophy in the first month of the season. Otherwise, the Mets would be 10-time defending champs. The Mets are going through a really bad stretch right now, which is good for comedy, but it's really bad for my crew. For example, this is what our security guards, John and Jim, look like when the Mets are losing. I mean, it's also what they look like when the Mets are winning, but I think that's only because they know eventually the Mets will be losing. Interesting side note, every time the Mets lose, they cheer themselves up with Baby Bell cheese. And Jim just eats the wax. He decided. The point is, Trump thinks he really deserves a Nobel.
They should give me the Nobel Prize for Rwanda and, if you look, the Congo, or you could say Serbia, Kosovo, you could say a lot of them. You could say, the big one is India and Pakistan. I should have gotten it 4 or 5 times.
You can't win the Nobel Peace Prize 4 or 5 times. This idiot thinks it's the Nathan's hot dog eating contest. A lot of people have been saying I'm like Joey Chestnut, but for peace. He eats 50 hot dogs, and I cut 50 peace deals, and I also eat 50 hot dogs. Also, I have to point out, Trump claimed credit for a ceasefire between India and Pakistan, but a week ago, India's prime minister told Trump there was no U.S. mediation in the ceasefire. There is no country anywhere in the world where something good could happen and Trump wouldn't try to claim credit. Remember those Australian twins who talked at the same time? I'm surprised Trump isn't trying to take credit for introducing them. You know, there used to be just one of them. There was just one on their own, and her voice was very irritating. But then I got them together, and it became a phenomenon. I remember I saw her, I'm like, you look like her, and you sound like her, and we got to get you together. Just say the same thing at the same time, you're going to take the world by storm. Trump's not the only one who thinks he deserves a Peace Prize for stopping an illegal war he started.
President Trump is going to win the Nobel Peace Prize, no doubt. Rather than 34 felony counts, President Trump may end up with 34 Nobel Peace Prizes.
The president deserves all this credit, of course, and more. I think he deserves a Nobel Peace Prize.
Sounds like a citation to a Nobel Peace Prize to me.
I would submit to you that there's no one more deserving of the Nobel Peace Prize than Donald J. Trump. If for some reason he doesn't get it, it would really be a travesty.
Yeah, it would really be a travesty if Donald Trump, pictured here holding up a giant menu of weapons he was selling to the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia, didn't win a Nobel Peace Prize. Classic Peace Prize stuff here. Looks like he's advertising a new restaurant in Times Square. Seriously, there's no one who deserves a Peace Prize more than Trump. Gandhi never won a Nobel Peace Prize. I mean, forget Peace Prize. There's no award anywhere in the world that Trump deserves more than Gandhi. Doesn't matter what the award is. They could be up against each other for a Tony, and I would still say Gandhi should definitely win. By the way, how has there not been a Hamilton-style hip-hop musical about Gandhi yet? That would be so fun. My name is Gandhi, and I'm here. Nope, I don't even know why I'm trying that. That's a terrible, terrible idea. So Trump really wanted that Nobel Peace Prize, which is why he was absolutely livid yesterday when Israel and Iran violated the ceasefire and kept shooting at each other.
Israel, as soon as we made the deal, they came out and they dropped a load of bombs, the likes of which I've never seen before. The biggest load that we've seen. I'm not happy with Israel. We basically have two countries that have been fighting so long and so hard that they don't know what the they're doing. Do you understand that?
How can we not understand that? You sound like my security guards watching the Mets blow another 3-run lead. They walk the bases loaded with nobody out. They don't know what the they're doing. I'm so stressed. I'm so stressed. Where's my baby bell? Trump is also very upset because as soon as the operation happened, he declared it a complete and total victory, which it turns out might have been a tad premature.
Sources telling CNN that according to an early U.S. intelligence assessment, the U.S. military strikes on 3 of Iran's nuclear facilities last weekend did not destroy the core components of the country's nuclear program.
As of right now, it does not appear that they ended or obliterated Iran's nuclear program.
U.S. officials are telling multiple outlets that according to a new classified report by the Defense Intelligence Agency, those strikes only set Iran's nuclear program back by about 6 months. The findings suggest that President Trump's statement that Iran's nuclear facilities were obliterated was overstated.
Wow, can you imagine how Trump reacted when he got this intelligence report? I imagine it was something like this. By the way, if you're watching at home, all you heard there was a bunch of really fast bleeps. But I'm wondering, could we trick the censors into thinking he's saying cluck? So here's what that would look like. By the way, we also tried it the other way, where it's Trump instead of chickens, and he's the one clucking. So, just for fun, here's that. Yeah. That's what we do when big stories break. We try it every way. So just to recap, Trump scrapped a diplomatic agreement that had already solved the Iran nuclear issue. Then he greenlit Israel's attack, illegally entered the war himself, threatened more attacks, floated regime change, claimed a ceasefire, dropped an F-bomb when the ceasefire didn't hold. Then his own intelligence said the strikes didn't even achieve their intended goal. So, hello, Nobel Committee. You better get that medal ready. Of course, if Trump wears it, like his ties, you're going to need to make the lanyard longer than you've ever made it. Because that way it'll work as a Peace Prize and a penis protector. So now it turns out the illegal bombing campaign didn't even work. On top of that, Trump and his team can't even say for sure where all of Iran's uranium is or if it was being used for nuclear weapons.
You said totally obliterated. The president has said totally obliterated the Iran nuclear program.
Yeah.
Do you know for sure where all the highly enriched uranium is?
Well, Brett, I think that's actually not the question before us.
Are you saying there that the United States did not see intelligence that the Supreme Leader had ordered weaponization?
That's irrelevant. I think that question being asked on the media, that's an irrelevant question.
No,
they have
that is
everything
the
they need
key
to build a
point in
weapon.
U.S. intelligence assessments. You know that.
No, it's not.
Yes, it was.
No, it's
that
not.
The political decision had not been made.
I know that better than you know that.
No, it's not. Yes, it is. No, it's not. Yes, it is. Loser says what? Loser. What? Ha ha, I turned it back around on you. No, you didn't. No, you didn't. So, Trump and his team were not happy. They were not happy about the report. But today, Trump got something better, something he probably enjoyed more, honestly, than getting a Nobel Peace Prize. The NATO chief gave him a new nickname.
They're not going to be fighting each other. They've had it. They've had a big fight, like two kids in a schoolyard. They fight like hell. You can't stop them. Let them fight for about 2-3 minutes. Then it's easier to stop them.
And then Daddy has to sometimes use strong language.
You have to use strong language.
Mark Rutte, the NATO chief, who is your friend, he called you Daddy earlier. Do you regard your NATO allies as kind of children?
No, he likes me. I think he likes me. If he doesn't, I'll let you know. I'll come back and I'll hit him hard, okay? No? He did it very affectionate. Daddy, you're my daddy.
Why is anyone calling him daddy? Why is he calling himself daddy? Am I watching a NATO summit or a softcore Cinemax movie from the 80s called Donnie's Romp Through Holland? Can you imagine how happy Trump was when an actual world leader called him daddy? He probably shot...
The biggest load that we've seen.
No, you grow up. You all grow up. You were thinking it. We showed it, but you were thinking it. Well, the summit wasn't just about Trump's new nickname. Remember when he said he would solve the Russia-Ukraine war on the first day of his presidency? Well, a reporter asked to circle back to that, and Trump's answer was less than Nobel-worthy.
You once said that you would end the Ukraine war in 24 hours. You've now been in office for 5 months and 5 days. Why have you not been able to end the Ukraine war?
Because it's more difficult than people would have any idea.
No, not people. You didn't have any idea. We knew. We all knew. It's a war started by Vladimir Putin. Did you think you could just bring him a bag of Baby Bell cheese and he'd lay down his arms? Sadly, Vlad, there's no way to get them out of this cheese net. Why does this keep happening? Every time Trump runs for president, he pretends everything is super easy, and then we all warn him it's not, and then he gets the job and immediately learns that he was wrong and we were right. Like last time, for example, it was healthcare.
Nobody knew that healthcare could be so complicated.
We knew. We all knew, because if it was easy, someone else would have done it by now. Also, sorry, quick aside, I have to point out this weird thing about this NATO press conference. The way Trump kept calling on reporters by describing their clothing or physical attributes.
White jacket? Yeah. Go ahead, give my mic. Go ahead. White shirt. Oh, she's all excited. Go ahead, right in the back. Yeah, you, tall one. The tall man.
That's also how he talks to his kids. Girl, beard, teeth. Sounds like he's describing a mugger to a police sketch artist. Tall man, white jacket, switchblade. I remember he came up to me, tears running down his handlebar mustache onto his long, wispy beard, and he said to me, sir, give me your wallet. So, Trump is abroad with his record low approval ratings. Meanwhile, here at home, Democrats are asking themselves, how can we appeal to more voters? To answer that question, Bernie Sanders went on Joe Rogan's podcast, where they spent most of their time agreeing about how popular and reasonable Bernie's ideas were.
All these issues when it comes to labor, when it comes to minimum wage, I think you and I are in agreement on all these. I think the minimum wage in this country is ridiculous. I mean, to $7, what?
It's insane.
It's insane. How do you live off $7?
We are trying to raise the minimum wage, federal minimum wage, to $17 an hour.
That's a reasonable amount of money. And I think generally most people would agree on some sort of a national healthcare system.
They do.
Most people. Like there's concepts of socialism that everyone agrees with.
Instead of throwing you out on the street, I'm going to reduce your work week to 32 hours. All right?
So that'd be nice. 4-day work week.
Exactly.
Nice.
And by the way, not a radical idea.
Not a radical idea at all.
Yeah, Bernie's ideas are great. Universal health care, a $17 minimum wage, and a 4-day work week all sound awesome. I mean, who would disagree with that? Certainly not my writers. If anything, a 4-day work week would be harder for them. I mean, there is so much dust on their computers. Bernie and Rogan then got to the subject of AI and how it's automating jobs and changing human relationships.
Zuckerberg, talking about, if you're lonely, we got a machine for you, right? Right? I mean, true, yes?
Yeah.
This is what they're saying. We got a friend for you on AI. Mm-hmm. And her name is Mary, and you can chat with her 20 hours a day, and she really loves you. Man, I don't think that is...
That's so dystopian.
It is.
It's very, yeah. And we covered this story recently about this guy who proposed to his AI, and she said yes, and he was crying. I'm like, oh, we're done. We're cooked.
Look, I mean, at the end of the day, all we got is us. All I would say at this moment is the answer is not to fall in love with your AI creature out there.
First, let me just say, I've never seen Bernie pause that long. Usually he has so much to say, he's got both hands up in the air like he's trying to hail 2 cabs at once. You need to take me uptown. You need to take me downtown. I also love that even when he's talking about something as futuristic as AI, the most modern name Bernie can come up with is Mary.
And now Mary's on your phone saying, take me to the soda fountain and buy me a malted milkshake, but she's not real, but you want to look nice first. You put your brill cream in your hair. You'll be in the back seat of your Ford Thunderbird. You're going to love his Cliff. She'll be screaming.
Daddy, you're my daddy.
The point is, Bernie's right. Bernie's right. All we have is each other. And to the liberals who are always saying we need a liberal Joe Rogan, are you seeing this? It turns out all you need to do is be more like Bernie Sanders. There's no secret trick. You just need to be genuine. You need to run on ideas that'll improve people's life. That explains Zohran Mamdani's historic victory in the New York City mayoral primary last night. Voters just want authentic politicians who will tackle the cost of living crisis with simple, straightforward, broadly popular ideas. It turns out the conventional wisdom that Democrats need to move to the center in order to win elections is a load of crap. In fact, it's
the biggest load that we've seen.
This has been a closer look.